It has been 1 week of use of this LG C01, and I have to say, a combination of two things. One, the fix that I find for the HDR, which is basically on the NVIDIA control panel on the color settings, just force the colors from NVIDIA and then select display content game mode, force that to game mode. It is on automatic, but it was not working for me. So a combination of that, and also I think the OLED needs to be used for some hours before it gives you a good picture. Out of the box, this was not good. I mean, this picture quality I'm getting right here, especially the fire, I was so unhappy with the fire. On the video, it looks a lot more red than what I'm looking at in front of me. So it looks exaggerated on the video. But in front of me, this looks real. It looks good. This was not the case. It was not the case. The fire was looking like crap. All the fires were looking absolutely horrendous. And I think it was the settings on the NVIDIA control panel. But I think that also there's a little bit of the usage that you need to have. So also, I am forgetting about SDR performance, because I don't really see the reason. On SDR, I notice the colors are better. But the way to improve the colors for me is just lower the brightness. So for example, what I'm using on every single game for the HDR settings is HDR tone mapping on HGIG. And it doesn't matter what the game is. It doesn't matter if it supports HDR or not. This doesn't have anything to do with the game implementation. You can turn this on every single time, and you might think that HDR tone mapping on is better. But it is not. It is not better. Because, you know, usually when we see a brighter image, we think it is better. But HGIG is more accurate. And you just have to try it for longer. You have to try it, and you will realize that when you have low brightness environment, it's gonna look very low in brightness. But when you have a lot, you will see that the image is super bright. So you have to understand and get used to HDR being. So HDR does not mean a brighter image overall. It means, oh, I have a fight here. I will need to stop. Let's see if I can run from this guy. So the HDR means that you're going to get, you know, detail close to dark and detail close to bright. You're gonna have a bigger dynamic range. And you know, for me, coming from SDR all the time with the plasma TV being overall a higher brightness overall, because I was not getting the super low brightness quality that I can get on the OLED. So when I'm comparing it at the beginning with SDR, both, the plasma looks better. There's not a question on my mind. The plasma just looks better. The colors look better. It's just the way it is. I have to accept that. But on HDR, the OLED is more impressive and more impactful. And if you get, if you give it a shot on HDR, HGIG, you will realize that that's the correct setting. You will see that HDR doesn't mean super bright all the time. That's not a good thing. And it does look amazing. And actually, I've been able to use that and black frame insertion at the same time, which I have right now. I have that on, which is amazing. So the thing with this TV is I can I can change the frequency to whatever I want. So I have, for example, right now The Witcher 3 maxed out, and to prevent any drops, because I don't need a super high frame rate here, I have black frame insertion at 80. So it's 80 frames per second, 80 Hertz, black frame insertion, and this looks so smooth. It's better than the plasma in movement. This 80 is better than the plasma. So yeah, you're going to lose a lot of the HDR quality, and that is also frustrating for me, that there is a trade-off. The no compromise experience doesn't exist. There is always something that you're trading. So you have to decide, do you want the best picture quality? If the answer is yes, you have to turn off black frame insertion. It's just the way it is. But if you care about motion resolution, you're gonna have to sacrifice specular highlight detail, and you're gonna sacrifice picture quality in general. Also the colors, because when I turn off black frame insertion, I can lower the OLED brightness, and I notice that lowering the OLED brightness gives me better colors. So in general, I notice that this panel